All right, and we're back. Episode 61.
We are here, and thank you for listening and being here.
Yeah, it's another week has gone by, and I still have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, there's a lot to process and nothing to process at the same time. I feel like this episode is the episode, though. So if you're here,
it's the monumental.
get ready.
The classic 61st episode of any podcast is known to be the best episode.
Yeah, it's like, we know what we're doing now. So 61 is like before 61, you don't know shit, and then 61 hits, and everyone's
like, woo! And then 69 hits, and everyone fucking loses their mind.
And then everyone just has sex. Anyway,
welcome back to another episode of the After School Special Club podcast. I am Chris.
I am Mary.
And this is your show for video game news, commentary, and stories from our stupid little lives, coming to you every week. Just every week, once a week. You can wait. You can wait. Okay, we're here.
Yeah. I mean, there's game news everywhere, but I feel like we have a nice spin on it. So we appreciate you being here every week.
And listening to us chat. We're not professionals. We're not academics. We are...
Look, we're not Joe Rogan, so that's the most important part.
Yeah.
The fact that we're not Joe Rogan, yeah. So you could be listening to that guy.
Right. And you shouldn't. You should listen to us instead, for sure.
Absolutely.
Anyway, guys, we have a slew of some topics today. I feel like there wasn't anything super like crazy happening this week, but there were definitely some features and some articles that I wanted to talk about and maybe have more of a conversation rather than just reading news articles verbatim from the page.
Yeah, of course.
So I'm actually going to skip down our list, and I want to start with topic 2 first because it's a little more tame. So this is that Sony is releasing the PSVR 2, and they're releasing it for $550, which is more expensive than an actual PS5 console.
Yeah.
And so a couple tidbits about this. So again, it is $550. It is going direct to consumer. So the article that I actually pulled was a Polygon article, and it's just talking about the release information. But there was a really cool feature actually from gamesindustry.biz that talked about how this might affect relationships with, with retailers, because they're releasing this direct to consumers, so you can just buy it online. You don't have to go into Target or Best Buy or wherever. I'm not really going to dive into that, but there are a couple points about this that I wanted to make. So it is direct to consumer, and it does not support PSVR games of the original PSVR. But Sony is selling a bundle with Horizon VR, a spin-off called Horizon Call of the Mountains. So... that is happening.
Yeah, and that's the one we saw. That's the one we saw some footage of.
Right.
And some gameplay. Yeah.
But to the best of my knowledge right now, there isn't any other games announced for PSVR 2. Nothing that is being, no pre-existing PS5 games that are going to be released in VR just yet, and no titles that are specifically for PSVR. So I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about console releases and like new console accoutrement, if you will. And releasing them for these prices, $550, right? Without...
Not cheap.
Yeah, not cheap. And without any games really to play on them when you do purchase it. How do you feel about that?
Well, okay. So the PSVR 2, when I think we talked about it initially, more than a couple episodes back.
20 years ago.
I was really excited because I remember the PSVR 1 and playing Resident Evil 7 on it. And I think that was probably one of the coolest and best video game experiences I've ever had. And Resident Evil 7 Biohazard, I think, is considered to be one of the better PSVR games in general, and just VR games in general. I feel like VR and because we're talking specifically about the PSVR 2, or that's what got brought up first. I feel like VR games are really hard it's a niche crowd. It's like a niche thing. And not like a broad consumers, they're not going to want it or they're not going to need it, right? and like not releasing games that are kind of like need to have with a $550 price tag is a bit extreme. I feel like that's very bold, for PlayStation to do. I feel like they also are trying to push boundaries with their technology. I know the PSVR2 had some really good specs on it, and I feel like it's going to be a high quality machine.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, the only game that looks interesting is that Until Dawn sequel, like from Supermassive Games. So they do have a PSVR2 game coming out for it, and it's supposed to be like a sequel or like a tied to the Until Dawn game.
Right.
And I'm a freak for those games,
God,
as we both love those games. And I was like, oh, it's going to be an exclusive. So, dang.
Guess I got to get this headset.
Guess I got to get the $550 headset that's probably going to sit there for a bit. That doesn't come with a charging cable.
Right.
Like, doesn't come with a game.
You can play it for one day and then that's it because it dies and then you can't recharge it.
Yeah. And then there's no Astro Bot game, which is like really shocking. That's not a free game that comes with it. There's no free game,
Wait, I didn't get Astro's Playroom on my PS5.
What?
Was it pre-installed when you got your PS5?
I think maybe I had to install it. I think maybe you had to install it.
That makes sense. Because I was going to say, now that we're talking about it, I'm like, it was not on my PS5. Like,
what?
But maybe if I go into the store, I can like download it for free. I don't know. But because I remember playing it like when you first got your PS5 and it was like, woo! Yeah. And I played it and it was there. But I'm like, wait.
They're just like, they didn't include yours only.
Yeah, just mine because Sony hates me.
Yeah, but Astro's like Playroom and Astro Bot and like all those Astro games, they're really fun. Like they're great.
Yeah, they're pretty fun.
I know they're just trying to show off the technology mainly, and that's why they're there, but they do such a good job with it that I feel like they missed an opportunity with the PSVR2 not to do that.
Yeah.
So that was a bit of a surprise. And many people are talking like maybe PlayStation will surprise everyone and they'll release it secretively. I don't think that's the case.
No.
I don't. They're not. Yeah, they're not going to come out with one, which is a shocker. So the $550 price tag with it, I want this. I want the PSVR2 because I do like VR games. Will I get it? Probably not because it's not a focus for me financially right now. But that doesn't mean that I won't like to be gifted it by a very, well-to-do maybe listener out there. It's like, I need to buy the PSVR2 for both Chris and Mary.
They need their own ones
for Christmas.
I love them so much, and just do it, and then we can arrange a drop point situation, and you can leave the package, and I will come get it.
Yeah, it's like a sting where like we're wearing like sunglasses in the middle of the day
and just black robes.
No, sunglasses at night.
Yeah, sunglasses at night.
We're just like sitting like waiting, and they can see us. They're like Chris, Mary, and we're like. Oh! Gotta hide. They'll give it to us this holiday, even though it doesn't release till February of next year.
Right, somehow. Oh, so it's actually an inside job. So somebody at Sony is willing to risk everything to give us these
everything in their lives,
these accoutrements early.
They have to sell their house to afford it, and their children. But yeah, so in general, I feel like people like you asked like specifically like. Any consoles, like console releases? Is that what you were asking there?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of wanted to tie it because I agree with everything you said. Like, it feels kind of weird that they're releasing it and it's at such a high price point and there isn't really anything enticing about it necessarily. Like, there's not a ton of like new games or releases where I'm like, oh my God, I have to get this headset because I want to play X game that's only available in PSVR 2. Mm-hmm. And it's a hefty price. Like, it's more than the cost of a new PlayStation, like the digital PlayStation 5. Like, and I don't know, like, I don't have that kind of money to drop if there's nothing to actually do with it besides like one or two experiences. And like, I don't really care about Horizon, so I don't really have an interest in playing that spin-off game. And otherwise I would probably wait until there was more promising games and things to do with it, because it's hard to justify that price point when there isn't really anything there. And I did want to kind of extend that to console releases as well, because to be honest, I'm saying all these things, but like you and I bought PS5s when there really wasn't anything to play on them.
It's true. Like I specifically played Cyberpunk on the PS5 because I wanted to, and then Miles Morales
Right.
because it was a prestige PS5, PlayStation
Right.
game. So I was like, I need to play this to see what the technology is of the PS5 and how far it can go. And that game was like, it was fun, but it wasn't a necessity for me to play.
Right.
But it was really interesting to see the quality of the game and like how beautiful it looked.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like that is true. But at the same time, it's like the PSVR2 like is not what you said is not like backwards like compatible.
Right.
So you really only have these select games that are coming out. The PS5 at least you could play PS4 games on it.
Right.
That you already had to kind of tide you over for all the releases that were coming
Mm-hmm.
out. So I think that's another like aspect of it. It's like if a console releases and it's not backwards compatible, to have enough options to keep people satiated and interested
Mm-hmm.
in it is very important. And then I was thinking back like of when you asked that question of like early consoles like the PS2 and like the GameCube, like when I first got it, there wasn't many games that released for it. But the games, when I remember, like they were like high quality, like, you know, and held my interest in it. And I feel like, well, the PS2 is probably one of the best consoles of all time,
Mm-hmm.
honestly, with the selection that they had on it. But yeah, I think it's really important for either the console to release with enough games to keep the public happy or have a subscription plan that has a lot of options like Game Pass.
Right.
I think a lot of people are trying to compete, or not a lot of people, but I think PlayStation's directly trying to compete with Game Pass now and with Xbox. So I think this decision to release PSVR2 with the price point and the fact that there's not that many games that are very interesting. I don't know, PlayStation.
I'm not really sold.
I'm physically not sold on that
No.
yet. But give me time.
Yeah. I do think like I definitely want to use it. The thing is I like VR. It's not like my
Use it, don't abuse it, or abuse it and don't use it.
I mean, it's not my VR is not my go-to thing. I just want to play on a console. Like I'm a console gamer. I don't really play on PC. I don't really do VR, but it is fun. Like you were saying, Resident Evil 7 in VR was so good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was an experience. Like it was definitely like, and I feel like because the PlayStation offered such great quality VR,
Mm-hmm.
and I think this PSVR 2 with the specs on it, it makes sense that they're not. I knew it wasn't going to be below $500.
Oh yeah,
like I knew that for sure, but I was hoping that they would bundle it with something,
right?
Like a game or an extra thing to kind of entice players to buy it. But I think PlayStation VR is excellent.
Oh yeah,
I think they go beyond like what's capable and they kind of push the boundaries. Mm-hmm. So I know that's gonna be good quality. I just don't have the money right now, and I feel like because of inflation, because of everybody like trying to scramble and like just survive right now, I feel like it's hard to sell people like a broad general public when there's bigger priorities like staying alive going on.
Yeah, totally. And I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I think I would like what I always want from VR is just just horror games, survival horror games on VR because yeah, it's fun to like play, RPGs and adventure games, but like I think that the immersive quality of VR would suit itself so well towards horror games, and like I think it would be cool to have horror games uniquely made and only available in VR. Like I definitely loved, again, Resident Evil 7 in VR was so good, and those games are good in VR, but I feel like I would like to see releases specifically for VR that are horror games because that medium lends itself so well to horror and like survival horror, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Survival horror is the best for VR.
Yeah. Well, if that's all that we have to say about that, I will dive into another Sony-related article.
Ooh,
it's almost
PlayStation heavy.
Right? It's like we're PlayStation fanboys over here or something.
Mm-hmm.
So speaking of retaining people's attention or trying to get people's attention, there was a report that came out saying that PlayStation Plus has lost almost 2 million subscribers since relaunch.
Yeah.
So I'm reading from a Polygon article. So the number of people subscribing to the service fell from 47.3 million to 45.4 million after Sony added tiers to the service, which is its most basic level, offers online gaming, additional features like cloud saves, and a handful of free games a month. The new tier provides access to a large catalog of PS4 and PS5 games at the extra level and to classic games and game streaming, at the premium level. So we know, like, back in June, Sony revamped their PlayStation Plus model. They made it super confusing by adding all of these tiers, and you kind of have to just know it's available at each tier. So despite this new system, it seems like people just aren't necessarily super engaged with it. And in the article, they cite Sony cites a couple of potential reasons for that. So one of them is that people are going outside.
I love that. The bare minimum.
Right. They use that phrasing too. They're like, people are going outside.
They're like, sun exists, guys. Did you know that?
Oh my God.
Be outside.
Yeah, and obviously there is something, as funny as it sounds, there is something to be said for that, because obviously we're still in the pandemic. COVID is still very much a real threat to our health. But at large, people are now more able to go back and like go out, go to restaurants, go to bars, go to concerts, go and do stuff. People aren't necessarily trapped inside all day, which during the height of the pandemic, a lot of publishers and companies were saying, because of COVID, we've had this huge rise in our sales because people are staying inside and they need something to occupy their time. So now it's kind of like the inverse, where it's like, well, we released this back in June, and at the same time, COVID was on a sharp decline, and now people are feeling comfortable enough to leave the house. So they cite that as one of the reasons for it, their sales declining.
I want to go further into that theory. Yeah. And let's say all those people, they did go outside, right? But they got Steam Decks. and they got Game Pass, and they were like, let's go outside with the games. let's break the walls, quite literally.
We don't need to be chained up in our chambers, our torture chambers.
We have elite access to Steam Decks, so that would be funny. I would like to look into that.
Right. Well, and that was something that I was going to bring up too, because they don't mention any competitors. They just say other things that might affect the lack of interest in Games Pass.
What if they just said?
I said Games Pass.
Game Pass.
Oh God, I have Xbox on my mind.
Yeah.
You got me.
Infiltrated. I infiltrated.
Shit. But no, they were saying like other reasons for why there might be less interest in PlayStation Plus.
Well, I'm still confused. I think last week, it wasn't even last week, last episode, no, 2 podcasts ago, I was trying to talk about what PlayStation subscription I have currently.
Right.
I couldn't
say I don't
it.
even know.
So I'm a part of this plan. I'm a huge PlayStation nerd. Right. And yet I still get it wrong.
I know so that I have premium because I know that I bought the highest tier.
Okay, I think I have extra because I'm extra. I think that's what I did. But yeah, I feel like the people that weren't diehard PlayStation fans, they were probably like you said, maybe they were like, I'm gonna take a break from games. I don't need this right now. Right. I'm gonna go outside in the air and enjoy sun. And they were like, forget games.
Games? Who's that?
And then the other people got Steam Decks, and they were like, this is just inherently better. And then, the rest of us were just confused walking around
with some subscription. Like we don't know what subscription it is.
What subscription do I have? Running into walls. Yeah, I that doesn't surprise me that they lost subscriptions. Like, I think it's not, from what I was looking at, it's not like detrimental. Like, it's not gonna affect them too harshly right now. But if it is an ongoing trend, right, that is when it's going to be a problem for good old PlayStation.
Right. And I think it'll depend on a couple of things. So one of the other potential reasons that they mentioned in this financial review was that obviously at that time when the subscription the new service rolled out, there were still manufacturing troubles with PS5, right? Like it was still difficult to get a PS5, and I don't know how much that has changed now because I already have a PS5. it's you can't see in the background because of the overlay.
I can see it.
Can you?
You can. Oh no, not the overlay.
You can kind
no.
of see the top of it here, but Mary's window in the OBS overlay is covering it.
Sorry guys, I'm censoring the PlayStation 5 out.
But yeah, like I don't know what it's like now. I've heard that because again, COVID is not restricting the manufacturing process as much as it was. I did hear that, a lot of consoles are kind of back on the market, but I do think that probably also did play a large role in it, because it's like, oh yeah, here's this new subscription service, but it's like, are you going to enroll in it if you don't even have a PS5 to enjoy the newest anything on?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But I do also think, again, and we've ruminated on this a lot. There's, Game Pass is just a better service. It has more to offer.
It's more to offer, less confusing. Yeah. That's it.
Done. Easy.
Yeah. Easy bake subscription plan.
You put in the oven 5 minutes, it's done.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I guess we'll see how things keep going. I mean, I do think if PlayStation could come up with more of a competitive edge for their subscription service, it would be better. Because I mean, like with Game Pass, right? You get exclusives early, right? Or you get them for free. Mm-hmm. What is it?
Yeah. I think it's either timed or you do get some for free, like right away. Mm-hmm. I know that. Select ones, not all of them, but they do select some to get for free.
Yeah. And it's like, that's such an enticing feature, right? Like PlayStation doesn't do that. Like you get PlayStation exclusives for free, but it's usually like last gen or like titles that are ridiculously popular that have already been out for a while.
They're like Overcooked 1, guys. And it's like not even the second one. They like switch back to Overcooked 1. They're like, what about this racing game that no one really played? Now's your chance to play it for free.
For free. And yeah, I think that speaking of that, their catalog, their backlog of like PS3 and PS2 and PS1 games is fairly lackluster. There's some really good ones and like really good classics in there that, I have played, but it's like, again, I don't think that it's super enticing what they have to offer. And I'm sure that there's, again, like technical reasons for why certain games are available and certain games are not available. I don't have any insight into the business side of how this is working, but I just I feel like again, bottom line, I'm not surprised that they're losing people.
Yeah.
Because people probably also tested it out and felt, similarly to how we feel, and we're like, I'm not going to pay for this. Like,
I don't even know what I have.
I don't even know what this is.
I don't even know where I am. Have you seen my home?
Have you seen my subscription? I can't find it.
I can't. I don't know if I'm extra
premium or plus. Or no, plus. See, I'm like,
see, point taken.
I thought that the actual name of the service was one of the tiers. Idiot.
just my physical tiers.
That's a problem with me, but also with PlayStation.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but there is a PlayStation game coming out that you want to talk about.
Do it.
Mm-hmm. Me? No, that's
I'm doing all of them today. Oh wow.
Yeah. No, just the other topic that we were going to talk about.
Jump back to the top. Yes.
Jump back to the top. We're taking Top Gun from the top.
I don't know why I need to say like, oh, we're like jumping back to the top. Like no one can see the show notes except for us.
What if we're just going to give everyone exclusive access to our documents?
For 1 week only. You get exclusive access to our private documents.
We don't even go in that week. Nobody goes in. Nobody goes in. Nobody goes out. It's perfect.
Oh my God. Okay. So yeah, this is the last topic that I want to talk about. And this is the Final Fantasy 16, as we know, is coming to consoles soon, next year. Mm-hmm. No specific release date yet, but I think they were saying March, maybe. Or maybe there is a release date. I don't know. That's not the point of this.
I think it's Q1.
Q1. So it's somewhere in the first 3 months of the year. So there was a really interesting interview that came out, and this was on IGN. Mm-hmm. And it's an interview with the developers, I believe with the director. And it's actually a really good interview. There's a lot of cool information in it, but one part of it has sort of been sticking out and has been getting a lot of talk online. And so there is a part in the interview where the interviewee is asking, can we expect to see any Black characters in the game? And
Mhm.
basically, the answer is no. There is no diversity in this game.
Mhm.
And of course, the director's response was just a very long, like, no, well, no, we wanted to keep it, it's supposed to take place in medieval time, like, all,
Yeah, because people of color just
yeah,
didn't
people of
exist
color
in
just didn't
medieval
exist
medieval
until,
times.
the 1900s.
Yeah. Wow, what a good excuse.
Yeah, and of course people are pushing back and being like, you could have just said no, we didn't think about diversity.
Yeah. And this is the the Japanese
Mhm.
headquarters of the company? Okay.
Yeah. So, I'm obviously, I kind of want to talk about this because I think obviously we're at a point in time with development, with any kind of media, whether it be video games, movies, TV shows, what have you, where there's no
Mhm.
excuse not to have a diverse cast of people.
Yeah.
And it's especially from like big publishers like Square Enix, right? Where it's like, you have all the resources in the world, you have like any pool of talent and like creation at your fingertips. Like there is
Mhm.
absolutely no excuse not to diversify the characters of your games, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, and this is kind of an ongoing thing in Final Fantasy. Like there are obviously notable Black characters, right? But it's like few and far between, and there
Mhm.
isn't really a huge variety of people of color in Square Enix games, or
Like
obviously,
main character
right, main
portrayals, like people that are in
characters.
there.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
either NPCs or like Barrett and Saz.
Yeah.
Like those are your two main
Yeah.
people of color characters in Final Fantasy. And yeah, I just think it's really disappointing. Obviously, like I said, we're at a point where it's like it's just inexcusable. There's no reason not to have diversity in your games, whether it be, race, ethnicity, gender identity, sexual orientation, like, the whole gamut, right? Like there's no reason not
Mhm.
to. And I think it's just, a constant disappointment, when we see other games come out, other developers, other publishers who do have diversity in their games
Mhm.
and are able to do that and do it successfully. Like why can't Square Enix do it, right? As one of the biggest publishers in the video game space.
Yeah. I wonder if it's just because there's just like there needs to be a changing of the leadership,
Yeah,
you know? Like I feel like, you need it like a company needs to keep progressing, especially with diversity because it's needed
right.
in gaming, especially to have like people's like perspective, like everybody's perspective on it and not just like a certain like kind of person. Like it needs to be all people that have like like a voice and can see themselves on screen and
Right.
like play as the characters and like feel like involved, like that really helps. So I am surprised that they haven't kind of done better and they should do
Yeah.
better and hopefully they will. Yeah, because I really can't think of like because I'm like indie games, like a lot of indie developers and like people that are making indie games, you see a lot more diversity in those
Right.
games, and I wonder like why isn't the fact like AAA games are like people that are making these highly publicized kind of blockbuster games, like
Hmm.
why aren't they taking this seriously, especially Square Enix? And yeah, it is disappointing, definitely. Um, So they should do better.
Yeah. And I mean, I think you make a good point about leadership too, right? Like when you think about Square Enix, right, it's this huge publishing company that has,
Mhm.
I'm sure a huge tier of executives and like executives of each team and whatever, and they're probably all old
Yeah.
old people.
Yeah. Mhm. It's true.
Whereas I think when I think of indie studios, a lot of times it's smaller, tighter knit, more diverse teams. And
Mhm.
I think because they have less restraints from their publisher, because their publisher isn't one of these huge giants like Square Enix, I think that
Yeah.
they are able to, diversify their cast and have these unique, diverse perspectives that aren't contrived and aren't stereotypes and aren't lacking, diversity at all.
Hmm.
I think they're more capable of that because there's less constraints, right? Where you think about like Square Enix or any of these big publishers, like I'm sure that they put way more constraints on what can actually be published and what can't be. They probably put more constraints on the studios because I don't know if the studios might want to diversify, right? But maybe they just can't because they try to and they're told no, like that's not the image we're going for, or whatever excuse, right? Because like I
Like probably out of fear, like they fear like some kind of like
right,
reaction, but it's like it can only be a good, like it can only be good.
right,
Like putting more like people's perspective diversity into your games is, I feel like, can only make the gaming world
hmm
better, and people are going to feel more like included, and I think it's a good thing. So yeah, I I don't understand
yeah,
why they're like keeping it the same and like not trying to change what needs to be changed
yeah,
at a higher level,
yeah,
like what you were saying, like not constrain people's ideas or people's like want to do these things, but let it be, and let the future take over, because that should be the face of the future of gaming is, more people, like, make up the whole,
right.
as opposed to what it is now. So
Yeah. And I'm sure some of it too is again like that lack of change and leadership. And like I think the bigger the business, the less risk, right? I think that they're willing to
mhm.
take. Like they know, like Square Enix know, and this could be said for Nintendo too, right? Like Nintendo knows what sells for them. So they're not going to change their business model. And they clearly haven't, right?
Put a bow on
Right.
it. Put a bow on it. It's a girl.
Yep. Every Pokemon game is the same. Fucking fight me. Every Pokemon game is the same.
Mhm.
That's a lie, but you know what I mean, right? Like you pick up the most recent Pokemon game, the graphics look like ass,
Yeah, and it's like they see a formula. It worked
right?
then,
And they
and
know they're gonna get sales from it, so they're like, we don't need to
yeah,
change anything,
we don't need to change our formula. Yeah, that's what they're saying. Like, we don't need to change our formula. We don't need to change our games. Like, people are gonna want it anyway. And you know, even if they're right about like people are gonna want it anyway, it's like it's only gonna last like so long before people are just like sick of the
hmm
shit. Like, it's like, all right, you need to change. You need to change. Like with the times, you need to change.
right?
Like you can't stay in the past. And I think, yeah, especially like Nintendo and like Square and like older, bigger companies, like they have to take this shift and take it seriously,
Right,
and not just, push it off, which I feel like they're doing. They're kind of like pushing it off
right.
and going like, well, we don't need to do this. It's like, yeah, you do. You do.
Yeah, and I wonder too, again, if it's part of being like a global market where it's like these publishers are publishing games everywhere in the world, so maybe they're more worried about perception and how they'll be received
Hmm.
because obviously some places in the world are more accepting of different identities. And
Hmm.
I wonder too if it's again like the bigger the business, the like and the more people you reach, more of the status quo that you have to keep.
Yeah, and I feel like the crowd that like is like the crowd of people who are gamers who are like afraid of like change, who go like PC,
Right,
like everything's PC now. I feel like those people are such a small, minute
right,
group, as opposed to the people that will embrace more diversity in gaming.
right,
And I feel like maybe like they shouldn't let those people kind of like cloud their judgment of like what like not to be afraid of, or like, you know what I mean?
hmm
Like they shouldn't let those like type of people make the decisions like for what they're going to release. And I'm not saying they are, but like if they're fearful of like a reaction or like some kind of thing like that, it's like, why pay attention to people that are only gonna like take away as opposed to give
right.
more?
And again, like I actually don't think that it has much to do with the fans and the players.
Mm,
I think it just has to do with money and the shareholders and the people who are investing in these publishers and giving them money because they have to appease those people, and those people probably don't want diversity or aren't thinking about diversity, and they're probably like, well, I'm not going to give you $5 million if you're going to make your main character a lesbian or something,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
they're like the trolls on the internet, they're gonna not buy this game, and it's like, all right.
I'm like, okay, sure.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know, I just wanted to talk about it because yeah, I think
No, it's a good
we
topic.
don't I don't think like, I think that we are aware of the lack of diversity in these bigger titles, but I don't think that we really talk about it that much.
No, I feel like I like would love to have like more conversations about
Mhm.
this topic and things like this, just because like, you know, I feel like it's important.
Yeah,
So
same.
especially because we have a platform, like even if like people, our select viewers
Right.
now, I feel like we do have a platform.
Yeah.
We should speak out
And
about
we're
stuff that
even if, like,
is
we don't
important.
have a huge viewership, like, we're still putting our videos out there publicly for anyone to listen to. So, my hope is maybe someone would stumble upon us by accident, trip over us,
Yeah.
and then be like, "Oh, I'm gonna stick around because they're funny or they're interesting." And then, oh wait, they actually talk about things that matter. I try to think
Mm,
about that too, because I'm like, it's not just about the people that do watch us; it's the people who don't watch us yet. So,
yes, that's true.
but that's all. That's all I really had to say about that.
Okay, sounds good.
But you had a tasty tidbit because we're coming to the end here. Those are our big topics. But Mary has a little after dinner snack for us.
As with most of my snacks and or just menus that I pick, it revolves around Kojima.
Obviously,
What a surprise. What a surprise. The Mr. Mystery Man of himself. He so I don't know if you saw it, that leaked gameplay footage this week that came out.
I saw
Um
about it, but I didn't actually watch it myself.
okay. So it's someone taking footage from their phone to another phone. So it's high
It's a
quality.
video of a
So it's high
video of a
quality.
video.
Yes. And it's of this like so it's a person playing the game and like they have a camera on them like playing
Hmm.
it, in the corner. Kind of like, like those reaction videos or like, you're watching along as someone plays, so the camera's in the corner. And she looks like she's like on a phone or it's the controller is like not like a controller. It looks like it's kind of like a phone
Hmm.
based controller. And the main character is you see them like walking through like a corridor and it's dark and it's like decrepit looking. It looks like a horror game, like a survival horror game, and the graphics are really good. Well, I mean, from the quality of the phone on the
Right.
phone, the quality of the game looks good. And it's definitely like people think it's Kojima's Xbox game
Hmm.
Overdose, like the Xbox exclusive game. So people are thinking that it's that because I think her name, sorry if I'm getting the actress's name wrong, Margaret Qualley. She was in Death Stranding. She played a character, and she's in the new
Hmm.
game because there was like things that were leaked before with her being in the next game or Overdose or something like that. So it is her, and that's why people think that it's the Kojima's like leaked game. And it's just like footage of like a woman walking through a hallway. Stuff happens, like spooky stuff
Hmm.
happens. She has like these reactions, like she's scared, and then the person playing is also having reactions like they're
Hmm.
scared. And it looks kind of like a choose your own adventure kind of game where like you make choices and then like it affects the outcome or something happens from it. But that's about all we could see from the actual like footage that was leaked. And then at the end, the screen goes like black, and you see the person who's videotaping the
Hmm.
video, and he's completely shirtless, like pretty much naked. He looks like he's naked, like at his laptop, just like, and he's like posing with like his hand behind his head, and he's just like,
Real gamer
and then you just
hours.
see his nipple. Yeah, you just see his nipple, and
Oh yeah.
I'm like, this is the best.
This is the game that I want to play next.
Like, I love the kind of person that's like, I'm gonna release this leaked video. I'm gonna post this, and I'm gonna post it half
Naked.
naked. Yeah, just because I can. And I know it's gonna turn off the screen's gonna go black, and then they're gonna see me in my glory.
They're gonna see my glory.
Yeah. That was the best part. It's just like like please like watch it and then watch the end for like
Oh
just
God.
that juicy shot.
Mmm.
Um
Spicy.
yeah, but that's really funny. But people are thinking that it's that. I haven't really looked much into it further than that, just the video that I watched. I haven't seen Kojima's reaction or if he had a reaction
Hmm.
yet to it. But he did have some comments about on his podcast recently. He had some comments about another like
Hmm.
theory that Kojima was involved with because Kojima and like conspiracy theories
Go
just go
hand in
hand in
hand.
hand.
Peanut butter and jelly,
And
one might say.
yeah, Kojima is the peanut butter. The jelly is all the bullshit. So, you know, I think I remember talking about it. I brought it up on many conspiracy theories regarding Kojima. He like pointed out, he's like, that game Abandoned that was going to come
Mhm.
out from Blue Ox Studios. He specifically said, he's like, I still get emails to this day from people sending me images, like deep fakes, like saying that I'm this game creator and like I'm actually making Abandoned and like all this stuff. He's still getting those emails from like people, like random people. And he's like, he's getting frustrated. He's like, I don't know why people keep
I don't
sending
know
me
why
this.
people are doing this.
He's like, I'm not involved in this. And he's like, I think he said something to the effect of like, they should just release the game already. Like so that
Just
this
release the
can
game.
stop. Just so this can stop. And then I'm blanking on the guy's name, who's in charge of Abandoned, that people keep thinking is actually secretly Kojima.
Right. I don't remember.
He responded to Kojima saying this in the podcast. He was like, thank you.
Thank you so
for
much.
acknowledging the conspiracy theory that you are actually me and this game is actually yours.
Imagine, but imagine if it was, and this is all like part of his big brain plan.
I can't go there, Chris, because if I go there, I never come back.
Oh no, I'm on a boat there right now. Void. I got a one-way ticket.
Oh no. Well, I gotta send you postcards, and you guys send me postcards.
I'll let you know how it's going.
Because I went down that little rabbit hole. I admit, I went down there with a little. I followed the carrot, and it ended up not being a carrot. It was just a big old punch in the face.
It's just a big dick in the face.
Yeah. But some people are saying like, well, what if this leaked footage of this new Kojima game is made by Kojima? Mm-hmm. You know, I feel like he would slap that half naked guy.
Right, exactly, and he would leak his own game.
Yeah,
I see, because you know what? I think that is smart marketing to leak your own game purposefully, because then no one else is going to hack you and leak your game, because they're going to think that somebody already did it, and they're going to be like, well, we already have a leak.
Yeah, because Kojima, he loves everything about being like original. Right. He loves everything about being like, yeah, because I'll like coming out with Moby Dick that or the Moby, you know, that the developer that wasn't really real, and he like released, So he loves playing games, and he said that he doesn't like to do the same thing twice.
Right.
On the podcast as well, he mentioned that he's like, I don't like to do like the marketing thing. I don't like to do the same thing twice. So it's like, okay, are you alluding that you're going to do something different?
He's like, so get this. I've rebuilt a full-scale model of the Titanic. I'm going to crash it into an iceberg. And it's going to sink. And then 80 years later.
After he drops the heart of the ocean.
Right, after he drops the heart of the ocean in the ocean. 80 years later, they're going to pull a safe out. And they're going to open it. And there's going to be a charcoal drawing, totally undisturbed, despite being underwater for 80 years.
Yeah.
And it's going to be cover art for the game.
I think that's all he needs to do the rest of his life. Right. I think after that, you're pretty much good.
It's 80 years later, so we're all dead.
Yeah. We're like, like from the grave, Kojima, got me again. Kojima.
That's me on any given. That's how I wake up in the morning.
Yeah, of course. And then I listen to his podcast, and I'm like, my brain's like, I have yet to listen to his podcast.
Same, I haven't either.
But I haven't listened.
Maybe I'll do that after this.
But I did call. I'll call it.
They're gonna say, but I did call him.
But I did call him at night alone
in the dark.
I was alone. He was alone. I think he was alone. I was watching him through binoculars. I mailed him a slip that said, "Are you involved with Abandoned?"
And he was like, "No."
And I was like, I got a reaction.
You're like, "Hey, your extended warranty is up."
And he's like, "What warranty?" And I'm like,
I don't have a car.
I don't own anything.
Just your soul. And your attention.
My thoughts and my mind and my brain and my heart. I was going to say something else about Kojima.
Sorry, I took it off the rails.
No, I'm glad you did.
I'm glad that you crashed the stream.
Yeah, because I think that was it. I think that was my Kojima news for the week. I'm sure there's gonna be something that happens next week. I'm gonna be like, remember what Kojima?
Remember when Kojima?
It's like the weather. I'm the weather girl, but I'm the
You're a
I'm the
meteorologist.
Kojima girl.
You're the meteorologist for
I'm the
Kojima.
yeah. That like it's be like Kojima section.
You're like, the winds are blowing from northwest. You know what that means?
It means, could there be a lie? Could it be the truth? Could it be a conspiracy? We don't know.
All of the above.
Just like every weather person, it's like
we're just guessing.
They could be. Yeah, they're just guessing, and then we trust them. We put our trust in them, and then you go outside and it's supposed to be sunny and it rains, and you're like, I checked the weather.
Damn you, Kojima!
Yeah. Old man yells at Kojima's house.
I should Photoshop that for the video, which also the video only started recording halfway through.
Oh shit. Okay.
So we're gonna have like 20 minutes of darkness, but then just like real life, we'll come out of the darkness and grace you with our presence. The ethereal figures that we are.
We'll graze you like a parmesan, over a pasta.
Oh, that's like ASMR. Ew.
Did you wake up? Wake up. Okay, but yeah, that's it. That's the only tasty morsel that I had today.
Yummy. Thank you so much for that meal.
Yeah.
Okay, let's dive into what we've been playing. Because not much has changed, but I still want to talk about it.
Yeah. I haven't been playing much different else than last week. What I talked about.
I mean, I'll say this: like Mary and I are both still playing Animal Crossing New Leaf, and jumping back and forth between New Horizons and New Leaf. But it's partly because like there are other things that I could play, but like I don't want to start anything because God of War is coming out in less than a week. Yeah. It's in like 4 days, I think. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Yeah. So I can't start anything that I can't beat in like 3 hours, or that doesn't end like Animal Crossing. So yeah, I've just been doing that, and it's really funny because it's just the game, like compared to New Leaf, it's so limited. And I just like, the other way around. New Horizons, it's so limited. Yeah. And like I forgot because it came out like 10 years ago.
Yeah, it's old.
And so New Horizons is just like, they really did think of everything and put everything into it, and there's so much to do. And then New Leaf, I'm like, okay, I pulled some weeds, dug up some fossils, watered some flowers, shook some trees, said hi to my animals, and that's really it.
Yeah, there's like your day goes by so quickly in New Leaf because you're done. Right.
But it is interesting because there's features in New Leaf that are like the skeletal features of certain things in New Horizons, which I thought was interesting, like going backwards. Because I was like, oh yeah, like ordinances exist in New Horizons, or like, oh yeah, like town upgrades are in, you can like buy windmills and like lighthouses and stuff for your island in New Horizons, which in New Leaf it's just like you have to pay out the ass. Like I'm still trying to pay off a lighthouse, which costs more than the loan on my house currently.
It's a fancy lighthouse.
What's going on here?
I'm trying to pay for a fence. I'm like, that's the first thing I got, luxury fence.
Oh yeah, I have a fence in my town too, but there's nothing, it's not surrounding anything.
What do you put in it? What do you put in it? I don't know. It was the cheapest option. What do you put in that damn fence?
I have a fence that there's nothing in it. I think I used to have flowers, but because I didn't play for 5 years, I think they all died and disappeared.
Empty fence.
That's the other thing. All the old Animal Crossing games. So in New Horizons, the flowers don't die. Yeah. But every other Animal Crossing game before New Horizons, the flowers wilt and you have to water them. Also, and I didn't even know this, your trees can die in New Leaf.
Oh, really? That's a disappointing.
I didn't, and how about that's like, that feature doesn't exist in any other Animal Crossing game. But I was just like, what? Because I shook a tree and then all of the leaves fell off, and I was like,
You're like, sorry. They run away. You're like, sorry, tree.
And then like somebody, I forget who it was, but they were like, oh, it was Leaf, was like, oh, you can get fertilizer and it brings like shit back to life. And I was like, why is this a feature?
Yeah, that sounds so annoying. I do not like that at all. But I do like how when you put a flower, it just plops down fully grown.
It doesn't have to grow.
which is
Yes.
nice. Yeah, I
Me
like
too.
that. Anything you just plop down.
Yep.
Also, I really like in New Leaf when you go to like that island. Like I forget who drives the boat. You drive a boat
Oh,
out.
Cap'n?
Yeah, Cap'n, and then like you go to that other island place where there's like I guess you're just traveling, and there's mini games.
Yeah.
Like a
I forgot.
maze,
Yeah, it's
and
all
like
mini
you shoot.
games.
Yeah, those are fun. They hold my interest. Like they're interesting.
Yeah.
You know, like because New Horizons, like I love the Happy Home DLC, which I'm still working through. I still haven't beat that because I'm spending so much time
Yeah.
and effort into each person's house. I'm like,
Well, and there's a lot
lot.
of like plots of land for you to fill. So
yeah,
I'm still not done with it
there's a
either.
lot.
I think I probably have maybe like 4 or 5 more houses to build until I'm done with the DLC.
Yeah, because I still have to build all the accoutrement on the actual
Oh yeah,
island. and, like, do the festival.
Yep.
The music festival, which reminds me of Pawnee.
Right?
Like Pawnee's like, let's have a big music festival and let's try it. And I was like, all right, let's get Little Sebastian.
Right? Oh my god.
Bye
bye,
Little Sebastian. But yes, but I really like the mini games in New Leaf. I really like the the villagers in New Leaf because they're saucy.
Yeah, they're
so
a little
saucy.
spicier.
They're mean. They're borderline mean. The guy came up to me and like I got my face stung and he's like, "What'd you do with your face? I liked it better before." And I was like, ugh.
Whoa, hey.
He's like, "What a waste of a face." I'm like,
damn.
It was a kid's game, right? I was like,
they're like, "What's up, you
children?
ugly bitch?" And I'm like, "Oh my god."
Yeah. And then on Halloween, it was like genuinely scary because they came running up to me. They're like, "I'm gonna trick you," and they're like,
and they stab you with a knife, and you're like,
"Oh, yeah." Oh, this is a children's
and then you wake up
game.
in front of your house, like it's like when you get stung by a scorpion or something.
Yeah.
Just kidding. That
they're
doesn't
like,
happen.
Sorry, but you didn't give me a treat.
You didn't give me candy, so I gave you a trick, and now you're dead.
Yeah. But yeah, New Leaf, I like some aspects of it better than New Horizons.
Same.
And of course, New Horizons is just better overall because the UI is better. Like it's just like a more enjoyable game because it's fresh, it's new, and mechanics are better. So yeah.
But yeah, I liked what I like about New Leaf 2 is like it feels very nostalgic for me because it still has the qualities of like the old Animal Crossing games, because there's just certain things about the world and how it functions that was consistent across like everything from the initial release through New Leaf, and then like New Horizons just brought it into like the contemporary, but like ditched a lot of those old vibes. And so it's like playing New Leaf makes me feel like a kid again, where it's like I feel like I'm playing on my GameCube again. So I do like that aspect, the nostalgic older aspect. And again, the game is like 10 years old. I think it came out in 2012.
Oh yeah, that is old. Yeah,
which is crazy to think about.
I graduated high school in 2011.
Yeah, I graduated in 2012.
Wow. We're getting older, Chris.
Wow, this is crazy. That's what happens when you're on episode 61.
I know. And then I did put that I'm buying Signalis.
Oh yeah, tell me about that. I've never heard of that.
So Signalis is, I didn't hear about it recently. I saw a quick look on Giant Bomb. Jess played it, and Jess was super into it, and I really like her takes on games and like her tastes, and like I like survival horror games a lot, like especially the original Resident Evils. And the game very much emulates a vibe of Silent Hill 2, Resident Evil.
Cool.
Like the early ones. So it's like kind of like a pixel graphic. And you're a main character and you're kind of like a robot. I think she's like a robot / humanoid. And
I like
it's
the
supposed to be
style.
Supposedly it's very dark. There's like inventory management and it's spooky and yeah. So it's supposed to be like a survival horror. And and the music's supposed to be really good too. And yeah, I'm really interested in playing it. I think it's only like $30, maybe $20 or $30. It's not like a really expensive
It has a
game.
10 out of 10 on Steam.
Yeah. And it's also on Switch. I think I'm going to get it on Switch because then that way I can just play it handheld.
Yeah, it's saying you can get it on Switch, PS4, Xbox One, Series X and S, and then PC. So I'll probably get it on Switch too, actually. It looks really good.
Yeah, I'm really interested in this game. I think this is like one of those games. I know Thor Ragnarok's coming out and I'm definitely interested in that.
You said Thor Ragnarok.
Oh, did I? Oh, my bad. God of War Ragnarok. Thor's in it, though.
That's true.
That
Thor
counts.
is in it.
Man, brain slip. No. God of War Ragnarok's coming out, so I'm really excited about that. But this game I feel like will tide me over a bit, and or just like be one of my games that I really like because it's survival horror, and that's right up my alley. I like those games.
Yeah, same.
So,
and it's always good
I'm
too to
excited
find
play
like a indie survival horror. Like as much like I love, obviously we know we both love all of the big AAA titles, but sometimes you just get a really good spook or a really good vibe out of the indie ones. Like I really enjoyed Madison, which came out this year, and that was a really fun game. It jump scared me a couple times, and I was like, "Bitch,
no, Madison,
you bitch." I never finished it, but it was fun. I think I came really close, but there was one part that I got stuck at that just like the mechanics were weird, and like I got frustrated and was like, I have to put this down.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Forever.
No, but this game looks really good though. I'm excited to pick it up for Switch.
Sorry, I'm like fiddling with the computer. Okay.
You're fiddling away.
Well, it's like every time I think that everything is working, it's not.
Oh, okay. It is hard doing it remotely. Yeah. I will say that.
Everything's fine though. Don't worry about it. There just won't be video for the first 30 minutes of the podcast.
I was looking into, because Adobe systems, I have the Adobe Creative Cloud. They have an animator, you can like make animations.
Are you gonna make an animation for the podcast?
Yeah, I was thinking that. I was like, man, that'd be kind of dope. But I'm like, I don't have.
You're like, I don't have any skills.
I don't know. I have some skills. I have very select. I will use.
You have
skills,
very good audio editing skills. I will say that.
Thanks.
Which is why Mary's the editor and I am a frog.
The most important frog. King Frog.
I'm really only good at making thumbnails.
You're very good at making thumbnails. I like those thumbnails you made. I don't know if I'm going to make them as good as you, but I will try.
I'll try my best.
And I think that's it. That's all we really have to talk about this week.
we just keep going. We're just talking shop and everyone's just listening. They're like, this is boring.
They're like, I stopped after the first 50 minutes. Okay.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's it for this week. It's time to shut it down.
Yeah,
closing time. Shut off all your consoles and
take out your earbuds and die. But don't. But don't.
Please,
we like you.
Viewership.
We like you.
We love you so much.
We need your eyes and your ears.
Hand over those eyes.
Give me your eyes and your ears.
Whoa. Okay. Well, if you want to hear more of that,
you
can listen to us anywhere podcasts are available online. You can also watch us on YouTube, After School Special Club, which I think we're gonna have the actual URL soon. I think you'll be able to actually go to youtube.com/After School Special Club. But for now, you can just search us. Please watch us, even though there's only half an episode of video for this one. I think it's still fun. I like to watch podcasts more than I like to listen to them. So check us out there. You can follow us on Instagram at After School Special Club. And that's it.
Yeah, thank you for listening. And like Chris said, we really appreciate when you listen to us. We want to get out there. We want to keep making these things because we like talking about video games. We like talking to you.
I just like talking.
Just in general. So thank you for being here, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.